Mom tell her mom. I don't care what you know.
Go ahead,
Mom
sir.
tell his mama.
Yes, sir.
Now, let me use this as a prime example. Myself and I, we went to Reedsville Prison to see how the system worked, and it is privatized. But the thing that we were asking is the monies that come in through privatizing, and we know that the prisoners themselves make the beds and they make their clothing and do a lot of stuff and even plant food and take it to the farmer market and sell it. But in your opinion, do you feel or what do you think about taking those proceeds and giving it to the families who are a victim of sometimes some father who's gone to jail, whether his fault or whether it's not his fault? If it's his fault or if it's not his fault, the child still become the victim. What do you think?
I wouldn't have any problem with any legislation that would allow victims to receive some type of compensation. I've always thought that we should do that. I mean, even if you read in the Old Testament, there's a interesting passage in the Old Testament that I thought was some interesting crime fighting reading, and it talks about someone stealing from someone and then having to pay them back either the same or double. So I would never be opposed to that. If the legislators actually created a law like that, I can't think of anyone in their right mind that would be opposed to seeing that victims are compensated for anything that they lost.
Before we go to Prince, why do you think that hasn't? Why do you think, I mean, has he just threw out a legislation that should be a windfall for us? And why hasn't any of the legislators even?
Now, there is a form of restitution that's out, not to the extent that the good doctor is talking about right now. I think it can be approved on. But again, I can't think of any law enforcement official that would be against compensating victims. That's what we're here to serve, the victims. We're here to defend those who can't defend themselves. And anytime we can give them back what was taken from them, I mean, no one's going to argue with that.
Excellent. Prince Zebekiah.
Yes, sir. My question was, seeing that the prison industrial complex is being privatized and blacks being the primary victims, what are you doing to change and prevent it from occurring? And in essence, in asking that question is that blacks have been caught into the system of being labeled gangsters, right? So many of them, okay? That now today they're being taken to prison, and the prison system itself is becoming like a tool for slavery.
Sure.
I would like to know, as the sheriff, do you see that? And as a black, how do you react? How do you respond to it?
Well, I definitely see it. I mean, all you got to do is look at the contracts that the jail in Clayton County have. Jail is a multi-million-dollar business, make no mistake. The food contract at my jail is worth $2 million. Medical contract is worth $4 million.
What about phone
And the
bills?
telephones, that's what I was just about to get to, is it probably brings in far more money than that. You just be amazed at how much money the telephones make. And it is a multi-million-dollar business. And I think what the key to it, and this is what my strategy is to help that not be the case, the key to it is we got to stay out of jail. just that simple.
It sounds good.
So the two things that I'm doing is, number one, I have a Scared Straight program to expose young people to it, so to expose them to the realities of jail, to see if what we can do is prevent them from walking through the front door to jail in the first place. The other thing I'm doing is I run my jail paramilitary. That's to teach respect for authority and teach discipline. And my jail is so disciplined, it's not the ideal jail to be in if you're used to going in and out of jail. My jail, you're required to make up your bed, wax the floors, keep the property a certain area. Even the toilet tissue can't be left hanging. It has to be in a military fold to address right. So I want to be a deterrent. Let's not complain about jail. Let's not walk through the front door to jail. I think one of the greatest things I learned in martial arts is not to be there when the punch is being thrown.
Yes, sir.
Right. So as an elected official, there's some places I need not be just as elected official. I don't need to be driving down the road DUI. We know what's going to happen. I don't need to be in a questionable establishment. So how do I avoid it? I just don't walk through the front door. And what I want to do is teach our young people, just don't walk through the front door to jail. Instead of complaining about the jail, let's just not go to jail, and let's put the jail out of business. I'm going to be the sheriff whether there's people in my jail or not.
Right.
I just quite prefer they don't come.
Well, you know, and let's send the call. I think we have 770-559-2999. We went, you know, our 30-minute mark. You're welcome to call in. Let's ask the Shad. That's what the show's about. There's a lot going on. Now, you make the point, which is a valid one. Let's not allow our children to go to jail. But what if the devil comes and knocks on your door? What if the devil starts to break? We have an instance of a lady who, for all intents and purposes, her age has been kind of bandied about. One says 92, the other one says 88. But the issue is she was in her domain, which the Constitution supposedly gives us a right to protect. There was a mistake made. If you can correct me if I'm wrong, we got you. Hold on just a second. We have, what is it, the new laws that came up, Patriot Act and Homeland Security, which allows police officers, and the no-knock rule allows police officers to just come into your house. What is a citizen supposed to do under those circumstances when you've been given the right to bear arms?
But what additional question is, even with those rights to bear arms, the other constitution that came out, the laws came out saying that if you think that your life is in danger, you have a right to defend yourself. True. Having that knowledge and being faced with those circumstances, what is the citizen to do?
Well, let me tell you this. The question, both questions you asked are excellent questions. You know, there's not a direct correct response to it, because let me tell you, each situation is different. Each situation dictates the highest use of common sense, because you know, you got different situations. A lot of this no-knock search warrant it existed long before the national security thing. We've always been able to do a no-knock search warrant when we hit drug houses, because if you knock, then a lot of evidence is going to be thrown away and stuff like that. And I understand that there's some people out there concerned that the people knocking at the door may not be the police. They may actually be some people posed as policemen and coming in. So it's a situation where if I gave you one answer, there's no situation exactly the same. And see, that's the challenge of law enforcement. There's no call you go on that's exactly the same. There's no situation. You've got to be able to react to each situation and use the highest discretion as possible and the highest common sense as possible. Each situation is different. There's a lot of situations out there we know right now is controversial. And of course, we got to keep in mind that we don't know all of the facts right now. You know, in a class I went to at the National Sheriff's Association, they said something I know to be true myself, that 90% of all news reports, especially initial ones, are false. And I know that to be a fact because I've been a party to a lot of things. When I watched it on the news, it was a totally different story that I was watching. So, you know, the best thing I could tell you is each situation is different. If you're in a particular situation, you pretty much know your situation. If you're in a situation where you hear the police at your door, and
or somebody at your door,
and you know you're a drug dealer, there's a distinct possibility it might be the police. And then on the other end, if you've never been involved in any type of crime, then what you may want to do is immediately hit 911 and say, look, there's some people at the front door right now saying to the police, can you verify that? We don't have a problem with that. I've had people call 911, not while I was a sheriff, but I've had people down 911 when I've been knocking at their door saying, hey, there's a detective outside. He says he's a policeman. Can you verify? And I don't have a problem with that. I think that's very smart. So hit 911, and then if they're not, keep that phone off the hook because everything is being taped.
Thank you, beloved. Let's go to our phones. This is your program. We appreciate you. Thank you, beloved, for calling here the Hero Israel program. Let's ask the Shad.
Hi.
Hi.
Thank you. This question is, I have actually two questions for the sheriff. One of them, you mentioned officers needing to carry